So we're going to talk about personal statements, especially applying to residency programs. We want everyone to turn their video on. Joy Osuebi, please, if you're joining us, please turn your video on. And other people on the other side of the room, there's a lot of people who we need them all to just turn your video on. Dr. Reem, second time we're mentioning this, please. Let's just talk as a family. The first thing that people say is, don't make your personal statement look like your resume. That's a very cliche statement because for us as physicians, how are you even going to talk about statements when everything you live for is medicine? Like our life is built around medicine from our high school days to now to, like you find that most personal statements end up recounting our life story. So I attended a training on personal statements for like 3 months. And one of the takeaways of that training is, well, we all looked at different versions of personal statement. One of them is that there's no one perfect personal statement. If I made it the co-host, please kick off any other person that is not on video. You could just exit them from the group, exit them from the Zoom meeting. Thank you so much. So we kind of, there's no perfect personal statement because if I write something now, another person is going to read it maybe based on his emotions or based on his cultural background or based on his whatever reasons, sentiments, and then decide that, okay, this thing is good enough or it's not good enough, right? If I have experience in what you're talking about, if you're talking about music and I love music, for me personally, I love music a lot, it's going to resonate with me. And then I'll be like, okay, yeah, this is really great, right? Another person may write about sky jumping, and then I'll be like, what is this guy talking about? It's just, how do I even connect sky jumping and surgery? It doesn't even make sense, right? But by and large, a personal statement should be an in-depth representation of your life philosophies. Let's just start from the beginning. The reason why you chose to go into that specialty should resonate clearly on your personal statement, clearly. The specialties, nuances, the words that are used in that specialty should resonate also in your personal statement very, very clearly. The connection between the life experiences that you've had either in medicine and how it connects you to that specialty should resonate clearly. There are different types of personal statements. One of them is program-specific personal statement. The other one is general personal statement. For people that are applying to like 300 programs, it's practically impossible to write personal statement for like 300 programs. So what we advise is your top 50 or your top 10 or your top 20 or your top whatever number, top X number that you want to choose. Ensure that you personalize things about, I'm talking about the US pathway because I know that there are some nuances that are different in the Canadian pathway, right? Ensure that you personalize things about that program, personalize either their faculty, personalize either the culture or the patient they serve, or a particular experience that you had with them, or a particular thing about the town, the city, the residents, the personnel, something that is unique that they could read and say, oh, wow, this thing is connecting to me. But that usually doesn't come in the introductory statement. The introductory statement should be done with what they call a hook. Like a hook is like, I'll use the word, something compelling, something that will make me want to read this, right? Something that will make me want to something that will make me want to go further and further and further, right? For example, you could start with a narrative style or a reflective style or an inspirational style, right? There are different reflective style is the one that I usually, that I usually try to do. I could say, I usually start with, as I reflect on my journey through medical school, everything feels surreal. And I find myself at this point That's like a reflective style. So it pushes the person to keep going. The person that's reading, okay, where is this person? Where's this person going to? What does this person want to achieve in this whole philosophical thing that he's driving, right? I could also use, for example, I could say, my reflective style could say, for me, medicine is not a career, it's a calling, right? So that's like my hook. But that sounds very dry. But I'm just trying to create these things from my head. And we're also going to go all around and see how we can create hooks. If there's something that's, the common cliche one that we usually use, we use the background kind of opening. I was raised up in a community of in a community where resources were scarce. There's this kind of opening that all of us know what we usually talk about. We raised up in a low socioeconomic community, and then we struggle to where we are now. Those are also nice uh, hooks that you can use when you're doing your personal statement. Another style is the connecting a story. There's something that happened, while walking down the streets of New York. I was hit by a bus. Okay, so what happened? So you're trying to stimulate the person's appetite. I was hit by a bus, and the moment stood, and in a flash, I stood in an emergency room watching the team. Seriously, I'm just trying to make the statement now. Seriously, or seamlessly working hard to save my life. Okay, that sounds like an interesting story. So that's a hook, right? While walking down the streets of New York, all I ever wanted to be was to be a surgeon. There's another one to reflective style also, where you could say, I'm talking about the introductory part of the thing, the hook, where you could say, um, there's one that we did.
Thank you profusely for being late and request an
There's another one that I could remember, another hook. Those different styles of hook. Growing up, all I ever wanted to be was a healer. Growing up, all I ever wanted to be was a healer. Because everybody around me, because my grandmother was a healer, right? Okay, that sounds like an interesting reflective story. What is it? Where is this guy going to? But down the line, I found myself in an urban society where healers were very scarce, and the next best thing to be was to be a physician, not just a physician, to be a family physician. Oh wow! I read that opening somewhere. I can't remember the person. I think that was way in 2019. That was a great opening. Growing up, all he ever wanted to be was a healer, but you and I will agree that there's nothing like healer in the contemporary medicine in university. I found myself in the urban society. There's a way he wrote the thing, urban society, where medicine was the next. Where I found myself in a formal education, and you and I agree that there's no curriculum called healer in formal education. The next best thing was medicine, not just medicine, a family physician. And that was really very awesome. You can also use that in psychiatry, those kind of openings. And then in your opening, you should also because the programs may not have time to read the entire thing, your opening should clearly connect you and the specialty. You don't have time to wait till the end and say, this is why I'm interested in internal medicine, right? So you could use that your ER experience to talk about how it now resonates, how you resolve to continue your passion in emergency medicine, or if you use it as internal medicine. It all depends on how you want to twist it, right? You can also tell a story, a very brief story. It was a very cold winter night in the US or somewhere. It was a very cold winter night in Alabama or in Baltimore. And I was sitting by the bus waiting. I met, next by my side was a woman coughing. You know, those kind of stories. It also makes the person to read, but don't stretch it out too far. 1 line, 2 line story openings, and then as your hook, and then you go for it. But keep your first paragraphs concise. They talked about ChatGPT, which is a very, very open secret to everyone now that, you could use ChatGPT to write a personal statement, but a lot of ethical dilemma with using ChatGPT in writing, personal statements. And everybody knows that everybody uses ChatGPT, but don't be that lazy one that you're going to now use ChatGPT and then it's going to just be obvious like this thing is just ChatGPT. Like, come on, you have to personalize it. You have to turn it through your story. You have to make it. You have to give that flow your own vibe, your own soul. Whatever the AI generated, if you're using Grammarly, if you're using all the different AIs that we all know, you have to give it your own soul, your own smell, your own flavor. And then for every applicant that is going into this application, I'm talking about the US pathway, we're also going to bring someone from the Canadian pathway. We strongly recommend that your application should have a team, right? Don't be the generic applicant. The generic applicant is that applicant that there's nothing unique about this person. There's nothing to pinpoint. There's nothing to remember about this person, right? But if you have such hooks in your opening statement, I've given like several examples of hooks in your opening statement. It may make you memorable, and then let your entire personal statements blend with your team. If you're coming as that guy who has some experience in developing country, or you are coming as that guy who has specialty training, or if you're coming as that guy who loves the underserved community, or if you're coming as that guy who has a surgical skill that is coming into family medicine, or who has a dermatological skill that is coming into orthopedics, you have to be that guy. You have to find a way, something unique about you. You're coming as that particular person who loves sports so much, or who have done something. My days in doing baseball were impactful. Were part of my days in doing baseball were helpful in shaping my days in doing baseball. I could remember my days in doing baseball. I could remember clearly how my arms moves and my arms hurts, and it's strengthened my resolve to provide care to people who injure themselves in sports, right? And that gave birth to my love for family medicine or sports medicine, or something I want to do. I'm just giving these different examples and the type of openings. In summary, personal statements are one of the key things that programs look at in your application. It takes time to write. You see the way of just thinking and reflection and reflecting, thinking and reflecting. One thing that they taught me in that class is also to every little piece that you have, voice it out, Just sit down like you're having a conversation like this, and then voice it out to your friend, or voice it out in your recording in your phone, and then begin to piece them all together. Eventually, it's going to form a book. And that's why they say start personal statements as way early, like as soon as the application starts, or earlier in the year, probably January, February. Give yourself enough time, because the reflective piece, every paragraph in a personal statement should convey something. There should be nothing repetitive or nothing redundant. Today, in summary, we've reviewed some types of opening statements. What an opening statement in a personal statement is. Opening paragraph in a personal statement should contain. I know it's a freelance talk, and I'm going to return back to the group where I'm going to take like suggestions. What do you think? What kind of example? What have you come across? Just like random talk. It's open mic now. I'm going to stop the recording so we can explore this topic in detail. Please, we want everyone to